the bakery.
Yes, yes. We had, before I answer your question, I've heard some people say that Hudson Related is being greedy and asking too much in rent, and that's why we still have vacancies. And the truth is we haven't lost one deal because of money. We have high hopes for the retail corridor. We've gotten great runs from the Riverwalk tenants, but we are open for business, and we've never lost a deal because we're asking too much money. What's happened a few times is that tenants have come to us with proposals, and we have spent $5,000 or $10,000 drafting a lease, and then they change their minds because they talked to a few people on the sidewalk and got nervous, or they they thought about it too much. Until Roosevelt Island on a weekday is quiet, and there's not a huge amount of traffic of pedestrians. So so some people get anxious, and our feeling is that over the long term, especially with we're building 3 more buildings, 4 days coming, and let's not forget the consultants report that 86 cents out of every dollar was being spent off island on retail dollars. So we think the future is very bright, and we want retailers to feel that way too, and sometimes they do and sometimes they don't. So we had an exciting proposal from a bakery to answer your question, and we went pretty far down the road with them, drafting legal documents, signing term sheets, and then they disappeared, stopped returning phone calls, like where'd they go? I guess they're not interested anymore, which happens a lot in the world of retail leasing. They came back to us recently. They're interested in one of the spaces that would be appropriate for them. When we're thinking about the type of retail uses that we think plug an important hole in Roosevelt Island, because we don't want to cannibalize, we don't want a second Japanese restaurant, we don't want a second Greek deli, a Mexican restaurant, a Mediterranean restaurant, a hardware store, a bakery, are ones on our mind that we could use that won't scare off a lot of tenants. Because the dynamic is that the second any new tenant comes here, every other tenant is worried that they're going to be stealing their business. And the hope here is that the pie expands and that retailers aren't chopping up the same size pie. So we have an offer where there's now a new pulse for a bakery. Margie?
Well, first of all, any of the committee members? Nothing. The trellis. I would love to see it happen in the fall. However, being the pessimist that I am, is there a drop dead date? If it doesn't happen by a certain date, do we then just put it out to bid for somebody?
When you say put it out to bid to somebody, what are you referring to?
Give the lease to somebody else. Is their lease up now?
Yes, so we negotiated a new lease with Trellis.
Right.
And they have a drop dead date to renovate their space.
Okay.
And they are months and months, if not quarters and quarters beyond the drop dead date.
Right.
So, it puts us in a position where we have the legal right to call them in default. And that's not our wish, that's not our desire. We are rooting for them. That's sort of that's the position we find ourselves in. If our patience was really tried and we felt that the existing trellis was such a disadvantage to Main Street, we might, it's a big deal to call a tenant in default. And every retail tenant, the second they sign the lease, you could find 3 reasons that they're in default. So yes, they're in default. Yes, they promised us a gut renovation months and months ago, and we've been very patient with them.
Okay, that's my question. How much longer?
How much more patient?
I'm not looking to throw them out.
No,
I love them dearly. I go there myself all the time.
Yeah.
We got to light a fire.
So Ariana reminded me, we actually did issue them a notice, and that did help light a fire.
Oh, that's all.
Yeah. We've had, the blog has pointed out at different times different notices that we are forced to sort of post on different tenant stores. We don't really want to talk about it on an individual basis, but a lot of times if we're doing that, it's just to sort of, it's good to remind retail tenants that we have a contract and we have high expectations. And one of the reasons the retail corridor fell into the condition it fell in was because the enforcement got very lax.
Right, and that's my problem. I don't want that to happen again.
In a hyper-politicized REIT environment where a public agency is the landlord, and every time they would want to evict somebody, 30 people would show up at a REIT board meeting to say, don't do X. It's hard to do anything. So, we're trying to objectively assert our rights, be patient, and do the right thing. And I think all of us want Charles to succeed.
And I personally, I go there all the time. I love them dearly. I don't want to see them embarrassed. I just want them to understand that they got to do something, unless something else is holding them up that we can help them with. Because I don't see where that's happening. So.
Ariane is one tough cookie, and I think that every time Trella sees Ariane's caller ID, they're like, oh man, do I have to answer this? She's just going to yell at me again.
Okay, the other thing I had, the library, I'm really concerned that you said we're holding them up. I thought that they were planning on coming in 2017, and it wasn't us. Are we truly holding them from renovating that place?
Yes, when we structured the deal, REIT is responsible for the window replacement.
Right.
And it hasn't happened. We signed the lease in July of 2013. And I think it's about to happen. And actually, as I was saying the words, I was thinking, I shouldn't be saying this about REIT because they're about to do the work. So.
Well, okay, are we behind schedule from what we promised, or?
I believe so.
We are, by a lot.
We may be behind. There were certain things that happened remember we had to sort of change the structure of the deal in the sense that we, with the child school,
left and the windows were going to happen at the same time.
So we had that issue first, and then we started, and actually I asked Jim just before, and he said at the end of August, the windows will be in. And then we bid them out, and then there was a public library wanted a mock-up of the windows. So that took time to make the mock-up. So there's a number of issues, and it is true that we are behind schedule, but those are the reasons we're behind schedule.
Okay, and I don't care about that. I just don't want to be telling everybody else, it's not our fault.
No, the fault is, I don't think David is putting fault on it.
No, but I just want to know whose ballpark it's in. If it's on ours, let's get it moving.
No, and it's moving. It's by the end of August, they will be in.
Okay. I know sometimes, and David, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but there are loss leaders where a chain will come in to go to a developer and say, put it in here and you can get my Fifth Avenue store too. Can we do something like that where you can find another Starbucks type place and stick it in the middle of Main Street and let them have a place in one of your things?
I would do a loss leader in a Roosevelt Island second. Like if it was the right tenant and it was a below market lease, but it helped activate Main Street, absolutely. I did that with Starbucks. Okay. Starbucks didn't know this, but I was going to do a lease for $0 because I thought having Starbucks as the first Riverwalk tenant was an important statement. And
so are we pursuing that kind of thing for the Middle Main Street?
We have Winnick, which is one of the top retail brokers in the city, actively and aggressively showing the space. One of the constraints is the space themselves. Like when we first took over the master lease, people would say to me like, oh, are you going to do Trader Joe's or Modell's or Whole Foods? And the truth is that the corridor consists of spaces that are 500 to 3,000 square feet. So whatever exciting loss leader tenant you're thinking of that also has a space on Fifth Avenue, may or may not be interested in 500 to 3,000 square feet. To me, my vision for this is it's Main Street USA. It's mom and pop shops, a few nationals sprinkled in there, in spaces that are 500 to 3,000 square feet. To the extent that the retail tenants are people like Coach Bobo and Cynthia who live here, I think that's great. I think it adds to the story. So if there's a tenant you have in mind that you think would be right for 500 to 3,000 square feet in an island of 14,000 people, by all means, any of you, tell me who to pursue. and we would pursue it. You know, the truth is we wanna, you know, we wanna do the smart thing. So if we can get $25 a foot to fill a space where we're getting $0 a foot, in a space where one day we may get $45 a foot, but it's a really exciting space, and it means that more people from Riverwalk and more people from Roosevelt Island are walking the streets of Main Street, you know, spending their retail dollars. We would do it in a second.
I think we're all just getting frustrated because we were hoping by now there'd be more tenants there.
No, understandably. You know, I feel the same way. You know, we bring no ideology to this.
Before I open the questions up to the floor, any other questions from board members?